My name's Nick Splotro. Who's your hero?
My hero is probably my dad, I would say.
My mom. My dad.
Benjamin Franklin.
My dad.
My dad.
My dad.
My girlfriend.
David Lynch.
Troye Sivan. My aunt.
My dad.
Helen Keller.
My mom.
My grandma. Yep, my grandma.
My mom.
Duka Hanamoku.
My wife.
My parents.
My mom.
My mother.
My little sister.
My high school history teacher, Carrie.
Jesus Christ.
All people that identify as women are my heroes.
My grandfather.
Jesus Christ.
Wonder Woman. The people who came before me.
My friend Ella.
My hero is my dad.
My hero is my father. I'm also gonna say my hero is my dad.
My dad.
Jesus Christ. Mamie, you're my hero. I love you so much. My dad.
Rumi.
My neighbor.
My mom.
Captain America.
Yeshua. My hero is my middle school science teacher, Miss Littman.
John Lennon. John Lennon's my hero.
My daughter.
My parents.
She's my hero.
Meg's my hero.
Our youngest daughter.
My mom.
My brother.
My mom.
My mom.
My dad.
My grandfather. I would say my mother.
My sister.
Mine is my dad.
Well, I have a lot of heroes, so pretty much anyone in my family.
What a simple question. Who is your hero? But alluring. When I stay on Pearl Street every weekend, families would often walk past me one way and come back and talk to me later, usually after dinner. They would tell me that they talked about my sign over dinner, asked everyone who their hero was, bonded over the subject. It's probably my favorite part about this documentary. My second favorite part was the question I got asked the most. More than, what is your name? What is this for? The question I got asked the most is, what is a hero? I never answered, explicitly at least. I'd say something like, it's the first person who comes to mind, or there's no bad answers. I wanted to know what everyone else thought hero was. Maybe you're like me. You were a little surprised by the amount of moms and dads. I think that if you got caught up on the question, what is a hero? Maybe you got caught up on the social ideals of a hero. What is a hero? Isn't that something impossible?
My name is Rick Stevens. I'm an associate professor of media studies and the associate dean for undergraduate education for CMDI. I tend to think about how technology innovation disrupts cultural production, and of course our popular culture machine has just been completely revolutionized and transformed by that. So I do a lot of pop culture work. Right now I'm writing a book on Hasbro, so I'm trying to think about G.I. Joe, Transformer techs, and my son is ridiculously attached to Optimus Prime. So we're kind of thinking about that kind of heroism. But when you're thinking about like superheroes, I grew up on Spider-Man and X-Men and Alpha Flight kinds of things, though of course I've spent a lot of time thinking about Captain America and some of those kinds of heroes.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. So what is a hero?
When you're thinking about classic heroism, and you're thinking about the mythologies from Roman and Greek poems and literature, American stories are infused with entertainment values, and so they're constantly produced, reproduced, they adapt to their moment. They don't have a beginning, middle, and end always the way that classic Western heroes are, but that's because of the technological moment and the era in which they were invented in our culture. But they kind of embody both the best and worst of us as we, watch market forces entertain us with ideas about what it means to think about justice in an era that doesn't always feel just.
All right, so what does that mean for us? Let's talk American, for those of us who have read more Superman than the Iliad.
So a hero in our culture is kind of a mythic avatar, somebody who embodies the agency that we wish we had. So that's why we're always concerned about their moral code and what they do, because they have a level of empowerment, ability, or removal from social constraint that we don't have. And so they're kind of a power fantasy for what if good people got to do what they wanted instead of what they're constrained to do. American heroes typically are defenders of the status quo. We put, some idealism around democratic values and lots of other normative values in our culture. But largely, when you start looking at how superheroes are built, the heroes tend to defend the status quo against those who either break the law or, ironically, want big social change. So that's the heroes are the ones who defend the little guy or stick up for the way society is supposed to be, but that means defender of the status quo. That whole American monomyth framework that superheroes come out of is about somebody separating from society so that they can interact the way they want without consequences, without social judgment, without, without having to stick to the law. It's what all the masks are about. So yeah, it's inherently individualistic. It's an individualistic power fantasy.
I don't get it. That doesn't seem very relatable. Not very friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
They attract so much attention because their popularity touches this place in most people where they want things to be better, or they would like to act differently than they're able to. And so these power fantasies are attracting. And so we should all pay attention to when something gets popular, because it kind of gives us insight into the zeitgeist of a psychological moment. What are people anxious about? What are they thinking about? What appeals to them? What kind of empowerment can lead them to dream and consider alternatives? And so, it's not just a question of pay attention to what kids are watching because it's cool and we want to make money, though unfortunately that's what we do with most of our media system. It's also about the cultural identity of the people consuming it and how we talk, how we think, how we're interacting with each other, and what we think our social options are. So I'd say it's very important to always surveil popular culture and try to understand what's popular about it.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. Now you may be thinking something along the lines of, Mom and Dad are not Superman and Wonder Woman, or at least your mom is not my Superman. So what else makes a hero?
Someone who's willing to be the role model that they're telling you to be. And that's the case with our parents, or my parents at least. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think someone that really steps up. Kindness, respect, and understanding others' opinions.
Brave, courageous.
Follows through on their promises.
Showing up and unconditional love.
Humility, meekness, strength under pressure.
Passion, commitment, dedication.
Determination, patience, and general willpower.
Strong.
Resilience.
I think you have to be courageous, and I think you definitely have to be real.
Kindness, being helpful, thoughtful.
Persistence, empathy, good heart.
Humbleness, I guess.
Caring, loving.
I think courage.
Galvanizing people, being empathetic.
I think being humble is going to be the first thing. Gotta have that.
I think empathy is a really easy one.
I would say kind, being very patient and appreciative.
Does good in a way that you look up to.
Following the beat of your own drum.
Protecting others from trauma.
Trying to do the right thing, not because anyone else thinks you're going to, but for the greater good.
Someone that does some scene when no one's looking.
You always want to do the right thing even if nobody's watching.
Does things for other people that he doesn't have to, goes above and beyond, and is selfless in his giving.
She's helped me become the person that I am today, and she's taught me so much, especially because she's older than me, and she's just always been there for me to teach me new things.
I think someone who really cares about what they do in a way that is so infectious.
It's how you're able to kind of not only handle adversity, but also continue to show grace towards others and be really accepting and kind towards other people as well.
Sacrifices things to help other people, and sometimes that can be hard.
She's the most selfless person I know. She leads by example. She's really strong in her faith. I think someone who, is just more worried about doing good than anything else and just being a genuine person.
Someone you try to model your life
for in a different way if you can.
Being able to inspire people just by being like authentic, I think. Yeah, you agree?
I think true heroes actually, like, they give it their all 100% no matter how much effort they have.
Strength sounds easy, but it's definitely not easy to be strong.
The power to overcome that and turn yourself into a better person regardless.
Carrying those qualities throughout your life, even when you're going through hard stuff.
Becoming bigger than you thought you could be in the service of others.
You can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. What he did was advocate for peace.
I spoke with another CU professor, Dr. Shaylin Lisinski, for what I would call an informed perspective on stepping up. A veteran, a mother, an academic in both media and culture studies, Dr. Lisinski gives us a lens of what it means to step up.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lisinski. I teach here at CU Boulder. So I enlisted at 17 years old, which not a lot of people do, but I did. I had to have parental signature. I think for me, in my mind, when I enlisted, stepping up was recognizing that there was a need. We were fed this narrative that our country was under attack and we needed to, go defend ourselves and retaliate in some way. And so for me, stepping up was being willing in those moments to do the hard jobs, the jobs nobody wanted to do.
Which explains our mom and dad question a bit more.
That marries so nicely with stepping up as a parent, because that is the most thankless job. Nobody is giving awards out for that. In a traditional sense, when we think about heroism, it's somebody that is, I would say, and this is again just me in my opinion, but heroes are not often allowed to be messy. Heroes are not often allowed to be flawed. And I think inherently motherhood is so existential in so many ways and so messy. There will always be a moment of struggle between your own identity and the needs that your children have of you. And that struggle, that's a natural human thing. Like, we're selfish beings just in general. We respond to stimuli, like it's all of these things. So you have to really compartmentalize your identity when you become a parent, because you have to recognize that, like, yes, I'm really tired and I would love to go take a nap, but I can't. So I think that the way that maybe the cultural perception of heroism challenges that is that being a mother is just so damn messy. And I think that we don't have a way to take something that is authentic motherhood and messiness and putting those things together.
Now, personally, I'm not gonna be a mom. So what does stepping up look like in my shoes, in my role?
It's important to recognize that if humans are inherently selfish, if as a society we are inherently greedy and inherently selfish, that somebody being self-sacrificial is heroism, because it is about rejecting our needs and putting ourselves first and doing what might not be in service of ourselves for the greater good. Doing it in the dark when nobody is watching, doing it when there's not an audience, doing it when you're not being cheered on. I think that, doing the right thing, doing what needs to be done, and self-sacrifice doesn't always get recognized. Instead of it being about saving the world, maybe saving the world is getting yourself up every day and making sure that you're not, traumatizing your child. Maybe it's that simple.
Thank you, Dr. Lisinski. Now, in order to finally and fully paint this picture, what is a hero? I think there's one key question left to ask. What gets in the way?
Honestly, I think a lot. I think your ideals, the way you were raised, can get in the way.
Laziness.
Pride. Selfish ambition.
Hate. Like societal hate.
I don't know. I think people love money too much, I think, at the end of the day.
I worked as an engineer for 3 years in industry, and corporate America got in the way.
Life, just struggles of life changes people. The ups, the downs. Sometimes people can't pull themselves up. We've all been there, and I think it changes people as they go through life, I guess.
We tend to hold ourselves back a little bit.
Our own selves.
Themselves, maybe their ego and their pride.
Their ego. Oh yeah.
Ego, a lot of the time.
Fear, jealousy.
I think fear.
Fear is paralyzing.
It's very paralyzing.
The opinions of other people and the thoughts other people are going to have if we do the courageous thing.
It's just we're human, and I think we want to gravitate towards love, but we get scared.
Well, I think nowadays being a hero is dangerous. A lot of people are getting killed for being helpful, for saving people, for being part of the solution. A lot of people are getting killed for that. We saw Pretty, we saw Good, we saw them both get killed for not doing anything wrong and trying to help their neighbors. So I think today it's scary to be a hero because you don't know when you're putting your life at risk to do so.
Not having enough confidence or anything.
I think people comparing themselves to others too much and thinking that they're not good enough.
I think some people have their own insecurities that they're dealing with, and they don't have the opportunities or the people to help them to push through that. And they think that that's something that will make them not want to be like a hero to others.
Not ready to take that first step can be the hardest part.
People don't know where to start or begin, like people who just have gotten in bad situations. It's kind of hard to get out of that.
When we tell ourselves someone else will do it.
Hoping that something happens, waiting, not doing anything.
Settling to be just average and thinking someone else could be a hero and like, oh, someone else's job is not my job. I'm just here to exist. And I think that's quite sad. But I think a lot of people do have it in them and just don't realize it.
So, what gets in the way? Ourselves, fear, discouragement, waiting for someone else to do it, not wanting to put our foot out first. But don't forget what being a hero is. It's showing up for those around you, doing what's right when no one's looking, showing up when you can, and still trying your best, even when you think you can't. If that sounds doable to you, then you already know what to do. Thank you.
They think, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't be a hero. It's like, but you can.
If everyone could just like look around and realize that heroes are everywhere and heroes can be anyone, I think everyone has a moment to be a hero for someone else.
And if we keep that chain going, then hopefully we'll have a world full of good people.
She puts out a lot of fires for people when she doesn't have to.
Selfishness is going to come from being hurt by others and wanting to just protect yourself, and I think it kind of turns people into the villains.
I think that being honest and true and fighting for your beliefs, even though the FBI is after you, even though the entire U.S. government is against you, that you just stand to your beliefs and you just fight for what you believe no matter the odds, I think that makes a hero.